Hillsman, or Coach Q, as I'm now learning he's affectionately called.
Yes, sir. Well, I think that from day one, when I had the privilege of being the head coach of Syracuse University, it was an issue of just us having to change the mentality and the culture of our program. I believe that you have to prepare hard, you have to play hard, you have to play with aggression and with urgency every day, every time you're on the floor. And I think that our players have taken on that mentality of playing hard and playing with urgency, and understand that every game, every possession is important. I really believe that our players are, over the years, they believe in what we do, they believe in our system, they believe in the zone, they believe in getting the ball in the players' hands that are most effective offensively, that they've accepted their roles, and it's hard to do. I think that every year that I've been head coach here, we've had a player that probably should be starting that we brought off the bench, and the first year it was kind of hard to sell it. The second year became easier, and this year it was very easy because I think that our success has allowed us to do things that we need to do to be successful without having to over-explain it and having to overcompensate for different things in our program. I just believe in our kids. I believe that we recruit the right players. We recruit players that can play at this level. I think early on into my career in women's basketball, it was very obvious that players win games, coaches put in game plans, and managers measure talent. So we're in a good position. Our two sophomores are our most productive players on the floor right now, which lends well to our future. We have seniors that are very good leaders. We have senior point guard Rachel Coffey's doing an excellent job of leading our team. Shaquille Leary has stepped in pretty well for Kayla Alexander, who left us all-time leading scorer, shot blocker, rebounder. She was tremendous for our program. But I believe that we're in a good state and we're in good hands with our young players.
Yes, Jen.
What is it, Jen Smith with the Herald Leader in Lexington, what is it about your team that makes them such an effective zone or such a good zone? And then is there some sort of city ordinance in Syracuse that you have to play a zone defense, or it just seems like the men and the women are both sort of known for the effectiveness of that zone?
Yeah, I think the city ordinance is every day when I look on my left, over my right shoulder, out of my office, and I see all those banners lined up. So I think that's the ordinance right there, and you can look down there every day and see the best zone coach in the country put in a system, and you sit there and you start to watch it and you start to break it down and you start to believe and you start going to your office, I'm sure, as most coaches do, and start playing chess and on how to beat it. And the only way that you can beat a zone is to really be a high execution team, and there's not a lot of ways you can really score in the zone. I think that a lot of people, it's amazing how many people say, hey, you got to get out of the zone. They're making so many threes. My motto is play a better zone. You don't hear people saying, hey, you got to get out of that man and go zone because they're killing you. And it's just about believing in what you do, having a system, having rules and that you incorporate into your zone and every day in practice. But Coach Boeheim is the best, and he's been there for a long time, and he wins, and he shows you how effective a zone can be. And we've taken on some of their components of what they do, but certain things we can't do because of their length and our length. But it's been great for us, and we've been successful running it.
Coach Perry actually talked to Coach Boeheim this season because he was never a zone coach, and he went to a zone a little bit this season with this team. Do you regularly meet, or have you met with Coach Boeheim to sort of to deal with the zone, or how to implement it correctly, or how to run it effectively, or anything like that?
Yeah, I do. When I ask him questions a lot when I run into a few snags in game prep and teams that we're going to play. I'll ask him questions. But the best thing is that he's so open that I can walk down there every day and get a 2-3 zone clinic. So it's been good for me because I've been able to watch it. I've been able to watch it be successful. I've been able to watch it in games. I'm like, they're great player, very good 3-point shooting teams, and he just doesn't panic. He runs what he runs, and they recognize shooters, and they get out and they contest shots. But But there are always games. I think people get into a point of they're making so many threes, that they're making 7, 8, 9 threes. This year, our focus has really been on matching other teams' three-point productivity. And this year, we're making almost 8 a game. So I think that if you can make 7 or 8 a game and you can hold your opponent in that same range, you have an even game, and now you're taking away some driving lanes and things like that. Most of the games that we've lost from this year is not because teams are hitting 10 threes, it's because we shot 20%. So that's the key. Can you match their productivity behind the arc, and can you make shots?
Coach, going off of that, obviously last year you guys ran into some trouble with Creighton, making a lot of threes. Each team's different. What's the difference this year, and are you more conscious of something like that?
Yeah, we're very, very, very conscious of that, and I do watch every game. I mean, obviously, as coaches do, and I think they might have made 10 threes, and like 5 of them were in unsettled situations, off of turnovers, off of offensive rebounds. They probably made 4 or 5 actually against our zone. So if we hold somebody to 4 or 5 3-pointers per game in a half court in our zone, we're going to win those games. They just made a few that were in unsettled situations. And I think the difference in last year and this year is that this year we're making 7 or 8 a game, where last year we made like 4 a game. And I think that really gives you 4 or 5 more possessions where you can make a mistake, and you can make them up because you can make shots and kind of even out that 3-point percentage and even out the points behind the arc.
When you're recruiting, do you look for kind of long players that can play that style, or players that have played a lot of zone in high school, or do you bring them in and teach them how it works?
Oh, we teach them. Nobody plays on in high school because it's not cool, it's not macho, it's not a tough thing to do. You got to get out, you got to pressure, take away passing lanes, you got to guard people full court, man to man, and it's amazing how when players come to college and they have that mentality, and you run out there on your first day as a freshman and you sit down in front of Rachel Coffey and she blows right by you and shoot a layup. I think it becomes a little bit more apparent that it's a team defense game. We do look for length. We definitely do that. We look for players that we feel can fit in to our system, but most importantly, we try to get willing learners and willing workers who want to come in and learn a new system, because it's such a big difference, and it's a different game between high school and college. But yes, we do look for players that can fit into our system defensively. No, I don't panic. I probably played 10 possessions a man in like 2 years. So you have to play your system and do what you do. It's tough. It's tough. You have to really dig your heels in and know that you've done enough to prepare. Because most of the games, when you see a team hit 10, 11, 12 threes, you look back at the game and it's probably 5 or 6 of them had nothing to do with your half-court defense. It's not getting back in transition. It's giving up an offensive rebound and things like that. So I think that he doesn't panic because he believes in his system, and he believes in what he does, and he believes that he prepares his team. And we do that too. We prepare for man and zone. We go over every team's man sets and every team's zone sets. And so we're always unprepared. I'm going to play both if we need it. But it's really about just believing in what you do.
Yes.
I believe this, since you've been coach, I believe this is your 3rd trip to the NCAAs.
Yes.
That's quite the accomplishment, but talk about how important it is to take it a step further now. Not just get here, but to move on.
Yeah, it's important, and we talk about winning a game. I think a lot of people get to a point to where they try to take the pressure off of their kids, and you use all these different ways to do it, and you got to win the game. So we talk about winning. We talk about what it's going to take to win. And we talk about the pressures and the responsibility that's at this university to win basketball games and to go to a tournament and advance. So I'm not one to shy away from talking about winning. I'm not one to shy away from talking about our expectations to win. We understand where we are. We've been to the NCAA Tournament 2 times, and we haven't won here yet. And we want to win here. We went to the Final Four, the NIT, Elite 8 NIT, Sweet 16. I think we got that tournament kind of figured out. So we probably need to figure out this one. So we got Philadelphia figured out too. We went to NIT, said Philadelphia for like 2 weeks. So we need to come here and win this game and stay here for about 4 or 5 days and and move on and be ready to play.
More questions for Coach? Okay. If not, the Syracuse practice begins at 2:45. There's 10 minutes left in the locker room being open, and then at 2:45 to 3.